I'm calling this meeting to order.
Roll call. Chairman Anker Jensen.
Here.
Vice Chairman Dr. Joe Hinojosa.
Here.
Treasurer Gerardo Gonzalez. Secretary Liliana Elizondo. Board Member Frank Orozco Jr.
Here.
Board Member Anna O'Quinn.
Here.
Board Member Benjamin Peña.
Here. Liliana, I just talked to her. She was on her way to the airport. She might, as soon as she can, she will tap in.
For the record, Vice Chairman Dr. Hinojosa and Board Member Anna O'Quinn will be attending meeting virtually. Next item. Public comment period. There weren't any public comments registered, Chairman. Next item. Consent agenda items. Consideration and action, if any, of the following items. A, approval of the minutes of special workshop and regular board meetings. A, regular, February 27, 2024. B, approval regarding the payment of vendor services invoice to the Greater Brownsville Incentive Corporation for the month of February 2024. Motion.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Second. Any discussions? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Ayes
Aye.
have it,
Aye.
the motion passes. Oh, sorry. Does somebody have a comment?
No, that might have been me when I said aye.
Okay, good. Is there any chance we can get one of these TVs turned around so we can see the people that are on? Because we can't see them on the screen. Thank you.
Next item, Greater Brownsville Staff Report. Business Recruitment by Jerry Briones.
Yes. Hello and good afternoon, everybody. So this month we had 18 business inquiries. Of the 18, we had 8 inquiries that we responded and discussed. So out of the 18 inquiries we received, we did respond, like I said, to 8 of them, which gave us a response rate of 44% with an ability to fulfill and provide the resources requested for nearly half of the inquiries. Anyone have any questions?
How many active leads are we working on?
At the moment, we are working on at least one that we're waiting for some, and actually I have an NDA on it, but there is one active one that we are working on. Most of the ones that we responded to were obviously requests for information. Also, we responded to a lot of inquiries from either developers, a couple of real estate guys, some local businesses, and also some businesses from Mexico, which we'll have a report on that in a little bit.
If I may, we also have several that are looking at our business park, and we're just pending the direction of what we're going to be doing on our business park.
Sure.
Any questions?
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Briones. Next
What-
item.
Okay. Never mind.
Good afternoon, board members. Do you have any questions?
No, I'm good. I was just wondering what type of business have been calling on us?
And I'm sorry, can you repeat the question, sir?
What type of businesses have been contacting us or we've been
In
talking?
what sector?
Oh, from what sector? We've actually had an array of companies from, we've had several in food processing. We've had several in logistics. I guess I can just call it logistics. We've had several that, one in particular that we referred over to the airport and we're assisting with that RFI is in aviation. So it's kind of a mixed bag of companies. The ones that we rejected were looking from anywhere from 30 acres up to 3,000 acres. And then a couple that we rejected were high utility rate companies that were not rate, usage companies that we just couldn't service. We also had some companies that were looking for existing buildings that weren't looking to construct or weren't looking, and most of those buildings were way past our anything that we currently have in inventory.
Okay, we always get back to that. We don't have the capacity to electricity or water. Does PU have any plans to?
They do. Actually, we met with a company earlier today that is looking to assist PUB with increasing their capacity using green energy. I don't know all the technical stuff on it, but it is green energy that they're looking at doing. And we're looking at hosting a meeting between those companies and PUB sometime next week, I believe. That's correct, I think. So yes, they are as well looking at other projects that, but it's, you know, still in the works. And my understanding is a lot of those projects are high dollar projects. So they're also looking at ways how they're going to finance some of those things. But yes, we are looking at how do we increase capacity for those projects.
We need to find a way to increase or to replace the failed Tanasca project, I think.
Yes, sir, that's probably one.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Next item.
Sorry, we're having a
Okay.
few technical difficulties.
Workforce and Business Development.
Good afternoon, board members. As part of our efforts this month, we visited with multiple companies, Oyster Metals, Fisher Dynamics, and others to offer them information about training and of course, trying to connect them with training. Also, we attended the LNG advisory board meeting, and that was with the purpose to learn, what's going on at the project. I'm very happy to inform you that right now the project at the LNG project has around 800 people working on site, and then 76% of them are Brownsville residents. So that's very exciting. And as you know, we're actively working with them to assist them with any workforce needs that they might have. Also, we're working on Rally in the Valley, which is the premier internship expo in South Texas. We will be sending you the invitation soon, and this is with the purpose to connect students with opportunities, job opportunities and internships. Also, we're working in securing approximately $70,000 in rigging training. As soon as I have more information and the project is finalized, I will bring you more information about that. Finally, we were invited to attend the 12th Governor Cup celebration. This was such an honor for Greater Brownsville to be invited because very few economic development corporations actually get invited. We submitted one of our projects, and of course, through this project, Greater Brownsville assisted the governor's office to win this cup. So that was very exciting. You will see the photo in the upcoming slides. Do you have any questions for me?
You mentioned that 76% of the people working out there are Brownsville residents?
From what we heard from the meeting, yes. And 84% are from the Valley. So most of the people that are working on site are actually Brownsville residents. And like I mentioned, we're actively working with Bechtel and Next Decade to support them in any workforce needs that they may have when it comes to training, grants, and of course, assisting them in actually finding people for these positions.
Is there a way you can find out the type of job that is not being hired locally? Just the curiosity is just advanced training, things like that that we don't have, just to kind of get an idea.
Yes, so I can touch base on that. So right now we're actually, and I'll get you more details on that, right? But we're actually working in supporting and getting some rigging program actually built, for this type of trades that they're looking at. Because my understanding was that, they were struggling a little bit to find individuals for rigging, right? And crane operators. So we're actively working with education institutions to put a curriculum together and assist with those needs. But I can definitely get you more information about other possible positions that they might need.
And how many employees did you mention they have right now?
Right now, as of this morning, they have around 800 people working on site. Mhm. Any other questions? Yeah. Thank you.
Next,
Good, thank you.
Business Retention and Expansion Efforts by Giovanna Rangel.
Good afternoon, board members. Okay, so I wanted to give you guys an update on Dax Works Inc. I know I've been mentioning them in our past couple of meetings. So we're finalizing agreements to occupy the Les Mondin building at the airport, and the lease and performance agreement is currently in process. So we should have everything ready to go to present on the next board meeting. We did have a food processing company reach out to us, so we engaged in discussions, and they're interested in expanding their operations here in the city. So we're going to continue those conversations with them, and we'll keep you updated. We were also working with American Ship. So during one of our BRE visits that we had, we discovered that they're interested in expanding. The location where they're at right now is getting pretty tight because they're doing so well. So we didn't advise them that we have a lot available in our North Industrial Park. So they have submitted their LOI, and Eliasad will be looking into that.
What company was that again?
American Ship, so they do shipping and receiving of different various products that is being sold online. So they currently, carry different kinds like shampoos, all kinds of different branding, just different items that you can find online. So they use their company to ship and receive the items.
A distribution center.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
We are also assisting a Corpus Christi-based company. They also, reached out to our office. They specialize in industrial and commercial HVAC and refrigeration services. So we're going to be assisting with their expansion here in Bronzeville and finding them a location for them to establish here. And lastly, we were also reached out by a Matamoros-based company who is considering to expand here in Bronzeville. We arranged a meeting between them and ORC Textiles to discuss their availability to lease their 30,000 square feet space that they currently have, or potentially hire their workforce as a contract labor. So we were able to do that connection with them, and we're gonna see how that goes, and we'll keep you posted. Any questions? Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Rangel. Next item. Marketing and Communication Strategic Efforts by Alexa Perez.
Good afternoon, board members. As you can see, and some of the things that we have always said in the past is that we like to do things differently. And for us, we have two important audiences that we need to count on. One, the businesses, of course, that we're supporting and that we're actively recruiting, but at the same time, we also have the community. This is why we came up with this idea of creating a mural right here in downtown. Why? Because we want to emphasize the innovation and the community engagement. Through this mural, we're trying to foster a stronger connection with the community. We want to encourage more appreciation of the arts, of course, and of the artists. At the same time, we know that this mural is going to bring more foot traffic to downtown, which at the same time is going to be benefiting the businesses that are located in downtown. And another thing is that it's going to be promoting, of course, the reinvestment in our vibrant community, especially right here in downtown. The artist name is Carlos Manuel Guerrero. He's a local artist. I'm very glad to say and proud to say that he reached out for several years to multiple organizations. And he's very excited because a couple of weeks ago, he reached out to us and we opened the doors for him. We knew that this was a great opportunity that we couldn't let pass. And as you can see, it's right across the street from Chimolis. It's on 10 and Washington Street, a very popular place. And on Monday, actually, we hope all of you join us for the timber machine. We want to add the final strokes to the mural. We're going to be providing you a T-shirt, and we're going to have some fun. We send you the invite. The event is going to be from 3 to 5, but you don't have to stay the entire time. It's just for you to go for the time that you can, and he's going to be doing some activities there, so you all can help us to finalize the mural. Any questions so far here?
I looked at it when I came into it. It looks nice.
Thank you.
Certainly something that attracts your attention.
Yes, and it's not finalized yet, but of course, we're going to be adding our branding once we finalize it.
There's no place on the side of the Young House to put a mural or something like that.
Now, I do have a question about that. Excuse me, I'm Dr. Hinojosa. I have a question on the mural.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, I really like it, but I'm concerned about vandalism. Is there going to be security out there watching it or anything, or camera system?
Dr. Hinojosa, we have a 2-year agreement with both the artist and the building owner. If there is vandalism, if somebody tags it, the artist has agreed to come back out and fix it. So it's like anything else with downtown. There are cameras around, but it's not going to necessarily stop anybody from doing anything.
I think that's a parking lot, and I believe they have cameras all the way around it.
Yeah.
So we'll have a good movie on what's happening, but whether we can do anything about it or not, I don't know.
We're hopeful that people will look at it for what it is, which is a great piece of art representing our new logo and part of our new identity. And if unfortunately someone does go down there and do something, as I said, the artist has agreed to come and maintain it and fix it for us.
Okay, I'm glad that that was written up on that. Okay, thank you.
Yes, and don't worry, we located strategically 2 cameras, already 2 security cameras there, so one in each corner, so we hope we don't get any vandalism there.
Yeah,
Can we go
me
to the
too.
next- Can we go to the next slide, please? Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, and and on the next slide, of course, we have the mission that I mentioned at the beginning. I mean, on the past board meeting, we have our internal program campaign called Their Story, Our Story. We've been actively going to multiple businesses that we have supported, but also some of them that we're going to support, of course, in the future. And we want to make sure that the story is not only told by us, but it's told by the audience, it's told by them, because we know that in this case, it's going to be more impactful for the community. We're highlighting their stories, their missions, all the products that they create. We, at the same time, we conduct interviews with their employees, and that way we can provide more information, highlight some of their testimonies. And if you see also, we're creating stronger relationships with media. This past month, they highlighted 5 of the stories that we posted. They also invited us to attend Channel 4 to promote the mural. So we're getting there. We're making, in fact, today I had another meeting with Telemundo, with Channel 5. So we're getting there. We're building those connections, and we're getting the support from media as well. And they are already aware that now we are Greater Brownsville and not GBIC. So we're trying to do those changes as well on their end, and of course, requesting their support. Do you have any questions? Thank you.
Ready?
Thank you, Ms. Perez.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next item. Greater Brownsville Events in Partnership by Elsa Gavan.
Good evening, board members. So this month has been a very busy month for our staff. Many of the staff members attended the list here and many more that weren't able to fit on this list. So we've been very active in the community, trying to get personal development, to be able to connect also with businesses and other organizations and attend conferences. So it's been an amazing month for all of us. I'd like to thank Board Member Peña, Chairman Jensen, and Secretary Elizondo for attending the Boards and Committee Appreciation Luncheon, which was an amazing event. Roca students performed some dances for Charo Days, so we had an awesome time just viewing that, and also proclamation to our board members from the city of Brownsville, just thanking us, or thanking you all for your undivided leadership and also your dedication to this board. Also, we attended the State of Brownsville Police Department event where Chief Sauceda provided some statistics on the city and how they're doing and training their staff, which is very important to the community because it gives us a state update on what they're doing to protect our citizens. Also, I would like to congratulate Giovanna and Marlene for attending the TEDC Basic Economic Development courses. So they got certified for that, that educational portion. So congratulations, ladies. Also, we were invited to Youth Build to present to the students, which is very important because they were able to hear a story from our staff to say, you know, what we're doing, how we're doing it, and what we're doing for them, specifically in collaboration. So any other events that we may have in the future, we're going to invite you all to attend with our staff. And if you have any questions for me.
I have a question on that Greater Brownsville and the CODEM.
Yes.
I thought I was on that CODEM committee, but I have never received any kind of notice of any kind of meetings. What happened?
Well, I can probably answer that for you, Dr. Joe. It was kind of a meeting that we had scheduled actually a couple of months ago, but because of weather related, we had to cancel. But it was more, they called us, and it wasn't really a meeting to discuss events. They wanted to take us over and show us some of the new maquiladoras that they're working on and some of the expansions that are going on over there. And they kind of gave us a tour of, and Brett hadn't been on one, so that's the reason that was kind of like more of a welcome and tour kind of thing, not necessarily a meeting to strategize. But we did get over lunch, we did get a chance to kind of say, we're going to work on setting up some meetings and kind of moving forward with a closer relationship with them. So, my apologies for not inviting you, but it was more of a just, welcome and let's tour the area and see what's new.
But I am still on that CODEM GBIC committee. Am I not, or has
Yes,
that
sir.
been-
And we'll make sure that on the next meeting that we set up, that hopefully within the next couple of weeks, we'll get you involved in that.
Okay.
How many companies are they? They're primarily seeing expansions in Matamoros, no? Or they're seeing companies coming in?
They have been seeing some companies coming in. I think some of it is the companies that are already there seeing an increase in expanding, right? So it's not necessarily new companies. We also took a tour of Nova Link the following day as well. So it's on there, so I might as well kind of express on that. So we did take a tour of Nova Link, some of the things that they're doing, or Jason Wolf is doing. He got to talk to Brett, myself, and Elazar on a one-to-one kind of, he likes the way things are going in Brownsville, and he sees a lot of potential in growth. So it was pretty good. And actually, that Nova Link was actually set up by CODEM, by Rene. We weren't able to meet with Nova Link that day that we went with CODEM, so we met with them the next day. Sorry.
Nova Link has an operation over here as well, right?
Yes, they do. They're over there on 14th Street with Mr. Garrido at the old Tex-Mex building. They have a big operation going on there too.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
If you have any other questions? Thank you.
A little point of privilege, if I may. I want to thank Carla for being able to have the connections with the state office to allow us to get the invitation to go up for the Governor's Cup. Very few economic development organizations, as Carla mentioned, are invited to do that. And for us to be able to get an invitation and be a part of that is important for us. It's starting to get us more on the radar with the Governor's Office of Economic Development. So thank you, Carla.
Next item. Discussion, consideration, and acknowledgement of the Greater Brownsville financials presented by Salvador Villalpando.
Good afternoon, Board. The first slide here, we have a snapshot of the summarized balance sheet for this current fiscal year as of February 2024. I just wanted to highlight that the total fund balance is currently at 38.8 million, and that's made up of total assets, which are at 39 million, less liabilities at 198,000, and that gives us our total fund balance of 38.8 million. And then one thing to highlight here is previously we were segregating the fund balances by operating and fixed assets. I met with Mr. Peña. One of his recommendations was to consolidate those fund balances to give a more accurate depiction of what our true fund balance is. So that's why you see here under assets, we have cash investments, accounts receivable, and then you see fixed assets at 13.8 million. And if you want to see a breakdown of what makes up that amount, page 7 of the financials has a detailed breakdown of the assets. That's the biggest change here on this slide.
Accounts receivable, who owes us all that money?
So what that is, it's a receivable from the city of Brownsville. As the state collects the sales taxes, they make the payment straight to the city of Brownsville, and then the city distributes our portion as well as BCAC's portion. So it's a receivable from the city to Greater Brownsville for the sales tax.
How long time do they hold it before they give it to us?
It's within 15 to 30 days that they make the payment. It's not too long.
Okay.
Next slide, please. So this here is a visual of how we're doing with revenues and expenditures. The bars in blue are the baseline, so ideally where we want to be, and then the amounts in green is where we actually are. So on the left side, we have revenues. So the baseline is that 2.7 million that you see. That's 42% of what we budgeted for the current year. And then the 3.1 million in green that you see is where we actually are. So we're above the baseline. And that 3.1 million doesn't include the sales tax for February. So we, in reality, will be closer to 3.6 million once we collect those sales taxes. On the right side, we see expenditures. The baseline through February is 5.1, and we're under. We're currently at 1.5 million. Next slide, please. So this year is a summarized revenues and expenditures report for the month of February. The first column that we see is the activity for the previous fiscal year through February. And then the second column is a comparison that gives you the actual totals for this current year. And then we have the budget and then the percentage of the budget. So one of the items that I wanted to highlight here is revenues. We're at 3.1 million. Compared to last year, we were at 3.2. Just one thing to note here, we're pending to collect the sales taxes for February. So we're going to be closer to 3.6, which would be about $500,000 higher compared to the previous fiscal year. Expenditures, we're at 1.5 million. Broken down by operating, we're at 659,000. Incentives, 455. Initiatives, 375,000. We don't have any actuals in the non-incentive category, but as I mentioned last meeting, that's a one-time payment to the city. When we get invoiced, we'll make a one-time payment of 944,000 for the airport debt service agreement. And lastly, just wanted to highlight, we're at a net change in fund balance is 1.5 million. So that's basically, we have revenues of 1.5 million over expenditures through February.
Just for color, 5 months out of 12 is at 41%. So if you look at the percentages on the right side, you'll see that 43% is ahead of budget on the revenue side, and 85% is also ahead of budget by a lot. And our expenditures are below budget. So that just kind of tells us that maybe we need to tweak a little bit the budgeting process and kind of get closer to where we think we're going to be, just for color.
Definitely. And for next meeting, we'll be presenting a mid-year budget amendment that'll take into consideration that we're over our budgeted revenues and under our budgeted expenditures. Thank you. Next slide, please. So here's the sales tax comparison between this year and last year. The row in green is the sales taxes for January, which amounted to 468,000. So we did have a decrease in January by 60,000, which is a 11.3% decrease compared to the previous fiscal year. When we take into account sales taxes collected for the first 4 months, which are 2.5 million, we do have a 5.6% increase compared to last year. And if we annualize that increase, we're projecting that total sales taxes for this year will be closer to 7.7 million. Again, that's just a projection. It's not a promise. That projection is based on current year activity, which is, we currently have an increase of 5.6%. That covers the financials. Any questions?
Chairman, we need a motion.
Any questions?
Make a motion to acknowledge the financials.
Second.
Any discussion? I know, Rene, we've been working on reducing the number of pages we get so that we can go through it quicker, and it's starting to work. But yeah, any questions? Okay, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
The ayes have it, the motion passes. Then you've been working on it. It's trying to reduce it, right?
Yeah, as a matter of fact, you know, when you look at financial information, it's very repetitive and very similar from month to month. And so we've been floating the idea of still presenting the financial on a monthly basis, but maybe have the actual presentation quarterly, where we actually look at budget to actuals and a little bit more comprehensive presentation of a financial report as opposed to every month. Financial information is very historical from that standpoint, and may not be as necessary to contemplate it every single time. And that would allow us to focus on the more important strategic items on the agenda as opposed to the financial information. But nonetheless, It should still be included on the monthly packet for the Board of Governance to review. But the actual presentation maybe we can just do it quarterly. But that's just an idea that it's up to the pleasure of the board to, whether you want to go that direction or not.
I don't know what you think, but I kind of like every month get full numbers like total expenditure, total income, and numbers like on a 1 or 2 page document, and have a detailed report every quarter. I don't know what you guys think.
I think this presentation is condensed. I mean, it's condensed enough and has sufficient information. The one that we get via email has enough details that we can review. I mean, as long, I think this is fine. We don't take that much time. So I think that this is fine. Probably in a quarterly basis, if you want to do like a different analysis, that would be probably fine.
I agree. I don't think the financial presentation takes nearly as long as the other. So I don't think that's an issue.
And certainly for the board to remember, now that we have Mr. Villapando in-house, he's available at any point in time. If you have any questions, feel free to email or call or stop by, whatever the case may be.
Also, I understand we have some issues trying to get everything, permissions and stuff transferred from the city. Can we discuss it in open meeting, or does that have to be in executive session?
Well, it's not on the agenda, so it's nothing that we can particularly talk about at this point in time.
Okay.
And I don't recall if we have a specific line item from the attorney for executive session. He does plan to call in when we're.
Mr. Chairman.
Sure. Yeah, go ahead.
Sure, I'll be happy to discuss that with you after the meeting separately if you'd like.
That would be good. Thank you.
You bet.
I think the other probably what we can do, Ben, is at a quarterly basis, just review the investment portfolio, just at a glance of where is it invested.
Right.
So that way we're in line with what it's going to be presented.
Yeah, and we still haven't talked about the Public Funds Investment Act, which is the next item on the agenda related to, the investment policy and the designee investment officer, and the certified financials that are presented at least quarterly as required by the government code. Yes.
We are meeting the requirements set by the state or by the city now, aren't we?
So
I don't know if we have a set of regulations we have to meet.
as per the Public Funds Investment Act, we're required to present to the board a quarterly report regarding the investments, and those are presented on a quarterly basis.
Okay.
Next item, discussion and action, if any, on resolution number R 2024-02, adopting Greater Brownsville Investment and Strategic Statement Policy.
So here we have a resolution for the board to accept the Greater Brownsville Investment and Strategy Statement Policy. And what this policy establishes is guidelines for who can invest the Greater Brownsville funds, how the funds can be invested, and when and how a periodic review of the investments will be made. And the policy has 5 primary objectives, which are the following: preservation of capital, safety of Greater Brownsville funds, maintenance of sufficient liquidity, maximization of return within acceptable risk constraints, and lastly, diversification of investments. Next slide, please. So the policy states how our funds can be invested, and it also sets limits as to where it is that we can invest our funds. And this is a breakdown of those limits. So the percentages that you see is basically what the limits are. So up to 100% of our portfolio can be in interest-bearing demand accounts, up to 75% in money market mutual funds, up to 75% in investment pools. Then we have 75% in CDs, CDARs, repurchase agreements, 50% in treasury bills, notes or bonds, 50% in agencies or instrumentalities, 50% in commercial paper, and then lastly, 25% in states, counties, cities, and other. And then, so what you see in green is where our funds are currently in. The 1% of our funds are in the interest-bearing demand accounts, and that is yielding 2.8%. 27% of our funds are in the money market mutual funds, which are yielding 5.2%. And then lastly, 72%, the largest portion of our portfolio, is in the investment pools, which is yielding the highest rates at 5.3%. Next slide, please. So the policy also states who the investment officers will be and when we will be providing the quarterly reports. So the investment officers will be updated by title rather than by name, which is recommended by the Act. So the investment officers will be executive director and CEO, and then the finance manager. And then the reporting will be quarterly to the board to present the status of the investments. Next slide, please.
And you'll be required to take biannual training.
Yes, sir. That is stated within the policy.
Does just out of curiosity, I'm not trying to throw more work on you, but does the executive director and the CEO have to take the same training?
Within 6 months of.
Oh, okay,
yes.
so you have to take, I'm not trying to.
Yes.
So lastly, here's a snapshot of the Texas Government Code, Chapter 2256 of the Public Funds Investment Act. And it's basically stating that the governing body of an investing entity shall review its investment statement and strategy not less than annually. So with that being said, we're requesting that the board adopt the resolution to accept the policy that is being presented. Any questions?
I have a question.
Sure.
Yes, what happens in May if they approve to do away with GBIC?
Great question. So at that point, the MDD would be created, right? And I would assume we would consolidate all of the funds, and we would need to re-adopt policies and everything that comes along with it.
The MDD will take probably, if it goes through, if it's approved by the voters, would take about 10 to 12 months to be created. That creation will assumably move both organizations, the Type B and the Type A, under one roof, and potentially bring in some of the city functions of economic development under one roof. As that is created as its own governmental unit, then a board would be generated by the elected officials, and the bylaws would be created and adopted by the elected officials on what the MDD would be. So items that we are creating on behalf of Greater Brownsville right now are certainly in Greater Brownsville's interest, because there's no guarantee whether the MDD will go through or not. If it does go through, with us having these new policies put into effect, the new marketing put into effect, it does help our organization to help the city to be able to move a little bit faster on the creation of the MDD, because we've done a lot of the legwork of items that would be used.
Okay, thank you.
I was reading through the investment options and you have commercial paper.
Yes.
That's something, I mean, that's the,
So what was the question? I'm sorry.
I mean, I'm just curious of why do we have commercial paper as an option?
It's simply an option, right? I personally have never seen the city, GBIC or Greater Brownsville or BCIC invest in commercial paper.
Okay.
It is, I guess, not narrowing our options.
That was commercial paper mentioned in the code that you were?
So I'm not sure, to be honest, but the policy that is being presented, it was adopted last fiscal year, and it's as required by the Public Funds Investment Act, reviewed annually, right? So it's always been an option to invest in, but again, I've never seen us actually invest in commercial paper.
I don't know if we can strike it or not, or what do you?
If we don't, I suggest we strike it out. I don't like it either.
What's by risk, right? It's risk-based, so as long as they're allowed in the act, right, and not.
Right.
And at this time, board, I'd like to remind you that we're not making any suggestions or recommendations to you that we move our money out of investments. Obviously, what is in place working with the city right now, the way they've got our money set up, we're making a lot of money on that money. So if in the future the board opts for us to move monies into a different direction, this gives us the ability to do that. But right now, publicly stated, we're not coming to you and saying, let's move our money to XYZ, because it's doing very well. And I think we're appreciative of how the city's invested our money so far.
Sal, do you know if this policy mirrors what the city has?
It does.
It does?
it mirrors the city's policy.
Yes, it does.
No, we got no reason. We make good money on our investment with the city. It's real good, actually.
And just asking the question, I mean, it seems that was the one that I was reading it in my office and it struck me to have that option.
Definitely riskier, but again, I've never seen us have money in there.
As long as we're prudent, we won't have a problem.
So what do we have to do with this?
We need a motion. To adopt.
Motion to adopt, no,
To adopt.
to adopt it?
I make a motion to adopt.
To do that?
Second.
You, sorry?
Made a motion,
Dr. No, what's the motion?
And, okay, any more discussion? Okay, everybody say, in favor, say aye.
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 The ayes have it, the motion passes.
Thank you.
Next item. Closed session pursuant of the Texas Government Code, Section 551.071, 551.072, and 551.087 related to the project industrial. We need a motion to go to executive session.
Adjourn.
so motioned.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
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 Aye, we are adjourned. Okay, sorry it took so long, but we tried to make it as short as we could, but we couldn't agree. We're all here, so I'm opening the meeting again. Oh, yeah, they need to sign in.
Have a forum. You have an in-person forum, so you can proceed.
Yeah, but I think we should wait for them to sign on.
Do we have a motion to reconvene?
We need a motion to reconvene, yeah.
Yes.
Second.
Okay, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Ayes have it, we all reconvened. what item are we gonna go to?
There's nothing.
In the executive meeting, no action.
No action.
What else do we need to do?
Adjourn. We need a motion.
Anybody want to give a motion?
Motion to adjourn?
Second.
That was a quick second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Ayes have, it, we
Aye.
are adjourned. Oh, you can go both ways, but that's the only thing I needed to sign here, right?
So anyway, I have to get back.
Hard
I
to
have to
say.
get-